Welcome to Introduction to Business Management 111 online offered by Harper College utilizing Blackboard Course Management System and McGraw-Hill Connect integrative software. My name is Dr. DrMochocki. This week we're going to be doing 3 chapters, but I'm going to lighten the load a little because it's going to be the last week that we're do of all of our readings, and then next week you're going to be turning in your business plan, and you'll be turning, and then in the middle of the week, I think on Thursday or when I think on Thursday or Wednesday you'll be doing your final exam. So Tuesday you're going to be doing your turning in your business plan by Tuesday midnight, and next week Friday you'll be Thursday you'll be doing your final exam. Okay, so what are we going to cover this week? Okay, the first chapter we're going to be covering 3 chapters. So we're going to be covering chapters 18, which is financial management. And what's after last week we did accounting and personal, we did promotion, you did well on that. We did accounting and personal finance. Remember, personal finance is an extension or from a individual homeowner or individual home maker, how he or she takes care of their personal finances. So make sure you know the difference between accounting and finance. Accounting is all the data, raw numbers, here it is. Finance is basically taking those numbers and making them better and seeing which numbers or ratios don't make sense and which ratios I should change. Look at it, if I am overweight, I go on the scale, and the scale says, George, you weigh so much, here's your body mass, your body fat, and that is my accounting. My finance will be my dietitian who looks at the same information that they received from the scale or from accounting and say, okay, we want to change this. So if you lay off the Twinkies, you do the exercise, you ride your bike, you do swimming, whatever, and then afterwards, after you've done this program for about 3 months, you come back on the scale or back to accounting, and it says, oh yes, it improved. If it's the same, then it means your plan needs adjustment because it hasn't had any impact on that. Okay, so if I look at personal financial management, it's exactly what it is. It's how do I how do I get capital? How do I tie the company into contractual agreements? What is my interest rates? When do I buy? When do I sell? What time do I use the discounts? Everything else that a business does to reduce the cost of its products so it could have a larger profit margin at the end. What are the worries of a financial manager? What is a CFO or Chief Financial Officer? What does he or she do to make recommendations? How the company should be going on at a company level? What's the role of financial manager? He gets funds. He looks at credit. He's an accountant. He has to understand accounting. He manages the taxes. He understands the auditing. All firms have to look at the capitalization. Do they have enough funds to do it? Top financial concerns is, can they forecast in the future? Our economy is going back and forth. What's happening in the European Union? What's happening in China? What's happening in the Middle East? What's happening in the oil prices? Do I buy oil in the futures? Do I buy commodities? Do I buy stocks? Do I invest? Do I expand? All those questions are on the shoulders of a financial or chief financial officer, he or she. And kind of look at it. Are financial officers men better than women financial officers? If you look at the statistics, men are a little bit more risk takers. Women are risk takers, but more of a calculated risk. So in this uncertain environment, maybe more female financial officers will be a benefit towards your organization because they're still taking risks, but they're a little more calculated, a little more conservative. Okay, why do firms fail? And they fail because of cash flow. They don't have enough money to pay their bills. They may have all these assets, but they don't pay your bills on time. That means you don't pay your employees on time. It ruins your credit rating and everything else. Okay, financial planning is, how do I plan to have the money ready? How do I pay off my bonds? How do I have everything ready when the debt comes up? What do I do for expansion? And when am I going to expand? I got to have the money before I expand. Okay, who is in finance? So you got your chief financial officer, you have your CFP, certified financial planner, or you have your CFA, chartered financial analyst, and you have your controller. When you look at the controller, he or she's the one to make sure that the money's there and there's no slush fund or money going inappropriately to a personal account or someplace that shouldn't be spent at? How do I obtain short term financing? You can get it from family, commercial banks, line of credits, factoring, commercial papers, even credit cards. A lot of companies have credit cards on their own. What's an operating budget? And how do I operating budget? What's an operating? I need inventory. How do I pay for the inventory? Do I pay for it at the beginning? I need if I look in a retail, I have to pay 6 months in advance before I even sell the inventory, before I even get the inventory. What are some alternative sources for funding? What is long-term financing? Either do debt, take a bond to say, take a loan out, or do equity financing. I basically get more stockholders. You look at Facebook when they had initial public offering, they basically instead of going for more debt, they did an equity. You have people buying into Facebook. I don't know if it was a good idea. Initial public offering, you pick that up from what do you call it? Initial public offering is the first time that the company offers a stock. After company could be around. Motorola's around a long time, but it's not from the secondary, so they need more money. So they offer an initial public offering. Here's a new series of stocks. People buy it, and then they have a secondary market. So make sure you understand that. Look at the 5 C's of credit. We talked about them a little bit. 5 C's in your personal finance. The corporations have the same 5 C's of credit. It's not only corporations, state, municipalities. How good is our credit worthy? Do we pay back? Are we good? Are we overburdened? Do we have character? How much capital do we have? What are the conditions of our credit? So that and any collateral. So that basically is what a financial manager, chief financial manager, does in Chapter 18. The next chapter you're doing is securities. Now, if you look at securities, when I look at securities, stocks and bonds, everything's wrapped up together under this umbrella of security. So most of us understand the bond market. You look at the bull market and look at the bear market. Bull market is very active, very going. Bear market is quiet, like a bear hibernating, but it could pop up at any time and be very active. But a bull is always active. The horns are going, he's running back and down. It's a bull market. So, stocks are going, things are going, people are happy. But then a bear means there's no activity or very little activity, okay? Look what an investment banker does. Remember, stocks are there. Bonds are the stepchild of, or stepsister of stocks. Just as much trading on the public secondary market as much as the primary market. If I don't trust the corporation going under, I may go with bonds. Because remember, when a corporation goes belly up, they pay the bondholders or the debt first, or the liability, the credit first. You are a stockholder, you get it at the end. Okay, so look at the terms and conditions of the bonds, different types of bonds, corporate bonds, municipal bonds. Look at when do I use debt finances versus equity finances. Understand what's a common stock, what are some stock features, like what's a blue chip stock, what's a penny stock, what are dividends, when do we use par value, what's the limited order, what's the stock split, organized securities, what are the exchange. And the book basically talks about the exchanges here in the US. There's different exchanges in Europe, there's different exchanges in the Asian market. So you could, if people want to buy the US stocks, they have to use the exchanges here. But if we want to buy stocks in other countries, we utilize their exchanges. So we should be aware of the different exchanges that are out there. Let's see, what are stock quotes and how do they quote them? The next one is global stock exchanges. You got the London Stock Exchange, Tokyo Stock Exchange, New York Stock Exchange is one of the biggest one. What's a broker and a brokerage fee? What are some warning signs the book talked about if your broker stock is cheating you? Different types of investment, high risk investment. They're high risk, I get a higher return, but I get a higher rate that it may not get that return. That's why a lot of people, I get so much money. That's why if you look at Madoff and all the Ponzi schemes, a lot of people lost a lot of money. If it's too good to be true, look at it real closely. It may be too good to be true. What's a mutual fund? What's a no-load fund? What's an index fund? What's best for small investors? How do I measure investments? What are stock quotes? What are bond quotes? Mutual quotes? What are assets? Yield and return? Online information. There's different stock. If I look at Yahoo Finance or AOL Finance or Dow Jones Average or Motley Fool, all those are what do you call it, online information at different levels. If I look at the New York and Dow Jones average is, it's like 30 companies combined, and it just gives you uh, a snapshot. If those the largest 30 companies are having trouble and they're not trading, these are the most solid ones. What do you think about the penny stocks? Are people going to have faith in the stock market? Okay, the next one you have is chapter 20, and it's financial. What do you call it, market or banking, for lack of a better word. What is money? Remember, if you look at money, and you probably see this on the exam. If I look at money, look at M1 and M2. M2 is basically what most of the calculation economic is included in there because it has savings and the actual M1 together. M1 and M2 together is what a lot of people utilize. It. What's M3? Know what's exchange rate? What happens when the dollar goes up? I mean, dollar goes up, that means we could buy more goods overseas. If the dollar goes down, is that bad? Depends. If I'm selling overseas, then we're more marketable because now we are the lowest provider. And so make sure you understand the exchange rate. What's the Federal Reserve? Right now, you look at Ben Bernanke and the Federal Reserve. There's a big thing going. He's really pushing down the interest rate low, so people will be borrowing more money. But if I'm an investor, I don't want to pay just one. I'll go to someplace else to take my $200,000 and I'll invest someplace else because that makes more sense. Why should I get a 2%? I could go to European market and maybe get 6%. But then at the European market, just that the euro will survive. It has some issues, and what's the value of that? Am I taking a risk? You see what I mean? So you have to be able. Remember, when you look at stocks and not bonds as much, but stocks is kind of like a gambling. And same thing with futures and commodities and derivatives. They'll talk about. Okay, look at the three tools that the Federal Reserve use. The reserve requirements, the open market, basically selling and buying U.S. Treasury, the discount rates, the check clearing, very little about. What are commercial banks? What's the difference between a demand deposit and a certificate of deposit? Look at the different banking systems, the credit union, the non-credit unions. What's the difference between a credit union? What's a non-bank? What online banking? Everyone's doing online banking. Do I care if the bank's around the corner? As long as it's federally insured, make sure it's federally insured. What's the future banker? It's going to be one big global bank, and we're going to be underneath one big monetary global system. And don't chuckle. That's something that's looking down the road. The more and more these countries are going, the more and more we are defaulting. The more and more they say, "Hey, we are in a global economy, so one banking system, one currency." Okay, what's future banking going? Technology, how's changing? Look at international banks, the currency exchange. Look at the World Bank, that's in the news and everything else, and International Monetary Fund. Okay, so that's for the three chapters. Now, what do we have today for this week? You've got to read the three chapters. You're going to do a quiz. I'm going to try to limit you a little bit, reduce it, because the form, let me just go through it. The quiz is going to be in chapter 19 and 20, multiple chapters, multiple choice, just like before. The first 10 questions is chapter 19. The last 10 questions will be chapter 20, and they're worth 30 points for the two, so it's 1.5 points. Your form is going to be basically on your business plan. I want you to look to the left and look where it says business plan information, and read it, see my video about what's required in a business plan, look at the rubrics, make sure you have the 13 headers, make sure you're posting in your business plan. I expect to see the 13 headers, all the information on there. I expect to see the concepts and what do you call it, the vocabulary in there, and so many that's in there, they have to be bolded so I can pick it up right away, and that's how you're going to be graded on the business plan. And then ask questions. Look, if you're asking a question, how do I find this, I don't understand this, do not wait for me to respond to this. This form's worth 30 points. You are to help other people. After you look at everything else, read everything else. If you're going to ask me a question that I already provided you the information in there that has your I've got examples of old business plans. I have the rubrics. I have another YouTube that's explaining what's required of your business plan. So after all that's done, you should be able to help other students out or something else. The other thing is your business plan is due next week, but the following week in the middle is also your final. So I will open up a button there as a review for the final. In this forum, ask me questions on the business plan or on the final, because you're almost there. You're almost at the end, okay? Now, there's no connect assignment this week, but I'm not going to penalize you. This is going to be a bonus because you've been really working hard in this class. I know there's a lot of information, so I'm going to try to minimize this week so you could work on your business plan. I want you to do well on the business plan because it's good points on it. It's 150 points. That's a lot of points. It could help some of your grades or maintain your grades. So what I will do, you will see McGraw-Hill Connect. You will not do McGraw-Hill Connect because you've been working so hard. It's a summer class, and I want to reward you. I will give you 20 points right off the bat from McGraw-Hill Connect. No questions asked. So that will bring up a lot of your what do you call it? A lot of your grades. Well, that's about it for this week. It's your last week. Next week you're going to be turning in your business plan. You'll be turning in your you'll be doing your final exam, and you're done. And you have I think this uh, the fall classes start at the end of August, so you'll still have a few weeks to enjoy the summer, and that's about it. So I'll see you in the forum. Look at the the forums for the business plan. No connect, but you're gonna get the connect points. You do still have a quiz on the 3 chapters, and I know it's the 3 chapters worth 30 points, but what's going to happen with the 3 chapters is after you've done that, it'll help you when you do the final exam, because those 3 chapters will be real fresh in your mind. Okay, so that's about it. My name is Dr. DrMochocki. Welcome to Introduction to Business. Online, we'll be covering chapters 18, Financial Management. Chapter 19 is Functions of Security Markets. And Chapter 20 is Understanding Money or Banking. And I'll see you online. This class is offered by Harper College, online using Blackboard Course Management System and McGraw-Hill Connect interactive software. My name is Dr. DrMochocki. Have a nice day. Bye.